Okay, dear Dhamma friends, we are going to start the fourth Dhamma sermon. So may you give your consent by saying sadhu sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Yopiso bhikkave bhikkhu sekho appamatta manaso anuttarang yogakkemam patte mano vihirati sopi dittan dittato abhijanati dittan dittato abhinyaya dittang mamanyiti ti. Dear Dhamma friends, so last couple of Dhamma sermons actually we gradually progress towards kind of a situation where how to abandon idea making, how to abandon mind making by means of kind of vipassana practice. So yesterday we tried to come to a kind of a path which is showing us, in case if we are able to develop the understanding of non-self, it may reduce fair amount of eye making, mind making and the identification, and that we are unable to immediately conduct. But there's another way, is that to first develop the anicca sanya, understanding of the impermanence. So understanding of the impermanence also a very interesting, very important type of practice. And then once one is well established in the understanding of impermanence, realization of the impermanence and thorough perception on impermanence, that is a kind of pathway to develop non-self. And basically that whole in a nutshell says about the understanding of three universal characteristics: impermanence, suffering and non-self. Now then we understood, okay, in order to implement this we need a kind of a practical approach, practical path. So that is where the satipatthana came to the picture. And in satipatthana, as we even discussed during the Dhamma discussion, so four foundations of mindfulness help us to thoroughly investigate the five aggregates. So in the Kayanupassana section, we are giving a fair opportunity to understand thoroughly about the working of the form aggregate, the clinging form aggregate. And then the Vedananupassana help us to understand thoroughly on the feelings aggregate. And then Chittanupassana help us to thoroughly understand about the consciousness aggregate, mental formations aggregate, and even the perceptions aggregate. And then in the Dhammanupassana section, we have the opportunity to revisit all the five aggregates and thoroughly understand their impermanence, suffering and non-self. So as I mentioned, in the Satipatthana, we can recognize Buddha elaborates three stages as explained in the Vibhanga Sutta of Satipatthana Samyutta, where the first stage is very much establishing mindfulness. Because currently when the yogi is simply coming from the typical conventional deluded environment, that mindset, so he is unable to maintain a fair amount of attention to a particular phenomena. So it needs to be fairly trained. So in that sense, he needs to go through certain amount of establishment of mindfulness, satipatthana. So in Kayanupassana section, so we have to spend fair amount of time in developing this skill. And once that is fairly developed, then we can investigate those phenomena to realize their true nature. That means samudaya dhammanupassiva kayasmin viharati. Vaya dhammanupassiva kayasmin viharati. Samudaya vaya dhammanupassiva kayasmin viharati. So we are very much like understanding their arising, passing away nature. But in order to reach there also, we need to develop the mindfulness, develop the concentration. It is not that we are simply saying, okay, you are born 60 years ago and someone is born 60 years ago and spend life for 60 years, 70 years and then he pass away. That is also a type of arising and passing away. But that is not enough. So here we have to come to a fairly fundamental level. So that's why we are talking at the elements level. So we take the body as a kind of an experiment and we use the mindfulness and concentration as a skill, and once it is well paying attention, so this body may be very much like seen, recognized, not merely as a person, not merely as not as someone, rather kind of elements. Earth element, water element, air element, heat element. So we have come to a very, very fundamental intrinsic characteristic. So this whole body, this whole universe, this physical everything is made up with these 4 elements, and we can, if you like, you can add even the space element. So we can simply say this whole physicality is made with 5 elements. So once we reach the elements level, there we can't find a person, so other than the characteristics. So you are now observing these elements characteristics, and as we are continuing at another level, you may understand they are arising, changing, and passing away. So actually, there is a very beautiful book by most venerable Sayadaw U Pandita. So that is called Paving the Way. So he actually mentioned a kind of systematic approach and how the Vipassana yogi might encounter different stages. At first stage, actually, he's saying, okay, the yogi has to simply establish mindfulness within the walking body, for example. Suppose that we are talking about the walking meditation. And then discarding all other unnecessary information. So, okay, you know, okay, now the body is walking. And next, assume that you are taking more attention to the under the knees, only the movements of the legs. Okay, now you might interpret as maybe it's like rowing a boat, maybe paddling a bicycle, simply movement of again and again from this end to the other end. So very simplification has happened. So that also helps to abandon so much of unnecessary conventional conceptual detail. Now you are abandoning all those unnecessary conceptual details and paying more attention to this very simple movements, simple sensations. And next only you will encounter the elements, the 4 elements, how the 4 elements are manifesting while we are walking. So how the 4 elements are manifesting while the breathing happens, while we are paying attention to rising and falling. So likewise, a little bit of systematic approach is there in this particular book. He is beautifully explaining it. So once you are fairly established in that fundamental elements level, now you know that the Patavi, the earth element, has its own characteristics. Water element has its own characteristics. Fire element has its own characteristics. Air element has its own characteristics. So what we call as the kind of private characteristics. Sabhava Lakkana, Pachatta Lakkana. So it is quite unique to each and every different element. But once we further and further observe that, investigate that, slowly mind will shift to another area, that is what we call as the Sankata Lakkana, where the conditioned characteristics. So all conditioned phenomena are showing these characteristics. What Buddha mentioned in the Sankata Lakkana Sutta, Tini mani bhikkave sankatani sankata lakkanani katamani tini upado panyayati vayo panyayati ditasanya dattam panyayati. Monks, you can see all conditioned phenomena are going through these kind of stages where you can see the arising nature of them, changing nature of them, and passing away nature of them. So you may recognize by observing the body, these bodily phenomena, these elements, that they also show this characteristic: arising, changing, passing away, arising, changing, passing away. But still not in a very, say, precise or very refined level, but in a bulk level, as a lump level, you may understand. But as our mindfulness sharpening, as our concentration sharpening, as our clear comprehension sharpening, so you may reach very subtle levels where very quick arising and passing away might be possible to understand. So there we are slowly reaching the another level, what we call as the Samanya Lakkana, or the common characteristics. Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and suffering. impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and the non-self. Where we have gone through that Sankata Lakkana, and then we are very much like shifted towards very subtle, very quick arising and passing away of these different phenomena. So as you understand this impermanence, probably later you may understand the unsatisfactoriness as well, because you know this whole bodily phenomena, elements are oppressed by this impermanence. There is no escape like. So it's a kind of a suffering going on. You can't stop it. Continuously it's oppressed by this impermanence, arising, passing away, something like that. And probably you might even understand the non-self. You can't stop it, you can't change it, you can't control it, and it's completely away from your control. You can't govern it, and things are happening out of your control. Other causes and conditions are there. So you can't say it is me, myself. You can't say there is something intrinsically substantial is available, because everything is disintegrating, everything is disappearing, everything is passing away. So likewise, at different stages of the vipassana, you may thoroughly understand the impermanence, suffering, and non-self. And as we are moving forward, then there's another stage, as Sayadaw Pandita mentioned, then probably the knowledges of vipassana knowledges are possible. Various jnana, various knowledges can happen, because you are further throwing in this area. And yesterday actually we discussed how one may understand it using a beautiful sutta called this Attadipa Sutta. So say you are doing Kayanupassana, and Buddha mentioned Rupasattva Bhikkave Aniccatam Viditva. Now Buddha mentioned here, now one has understood the impermanence of the body, impermanence of this form aggregate. Viparinama Viraga Nirodha. So it has subject to this kind of a change, evolution, and then as a result of that he has certain kind of a dispassion being developed. And not only this very body, but now he is spreading the understanding to the whole universe, maybe if possible. Not only Ajjatta, even the Bahidda. Pubbecheva Rupam Etarahicha Sabbang Rupam. So all different kinds of physicality he now understand. Anicchang, Dukkhang, Viparinama Dhammanti. Everything is impermanent. All the physical phenomena are impermanent, changing, subject to change. And therefore, evametang yatha bhutang sammappaññāya passato. When he is understanding their true nature, he is soka parideva dukkha domanasupāyasa te pahiyanti. So whatever the sorrows, lamentations, any kind of despair, he was very much like tormented. So those are now slowly being abandoned, because he understood the reality. There is no way to control it. This is the nature. So he accepts it. He radically accepts it. And it's quite obvious to him. So then when the body going through certain changes, he can bear it, he can understand it. Because he is not having kind of ownership kind of a thing, but he understands, okay, these are mere elements. They are subject to these kind of changes. It is inevitable. So he can look back it now with a decent mind, with an equanimous mind. Tesam pahana na paritassati. When those different kinds of sorrows, lamentations are abandoned, so there is no agitation in the mind now. He can maintain a very calm, relaxed mind when things are falling apart. Aparitassan sukhang viharati. So when there is no agitation, he is maintaining some kind of a calmness, some kind of a comfort. Sukhang viharam bhikkhu tadanga nibbutoti uchati. So this state where he hasn't grasped the body being very much like let go of, so mind remains fairly unattached, free from the torturing or the depressive type of phenomena happening within the body. He is now free from it, away from it, and now he is living with a kind of a quenched mind, a relaxed mind, calm mind, no burning now. So you can see the Kayanupassana help us to very much like be free from the body. Vedananupassana similarly help us to be free from feelings, in the sense that feelings are no more disturbing the mind like. So previously you were, whenever say pleasurable feelings happen, mind's very much like attracted to it. You want it. I want it more. So how can I get that? How can I get that bliss? How can I get that beautiful pleasurable feeling? So we are very much like obsessed by that. And on the other hand, when the painful feelings happen, you want to quickly get away from it. So, but when the yogi is maturing in Vedananupassana, so he has another very patient approach. So he can see how even the pleasurable feelings come and go, how even the painful feelings come and go, how neutral feelings come and go. So he see this nature, how impermanent they are, how unsatisfactory they are, and how non-self they are. So as a result of that, now he is very much like withdrawn from this whole arising and passing away feelings. He doesn't want to say it is me, it is myself. Rather, they are happening due to contact, and he still withdraw from it. Suppose you are doing even Chittanupassana. So when you are looking at the mind, so different thoughts are coming. And at first you may be contributing to it, you are participating to it, you are interfering, you are judging, adding. So all that kind of manipulations were there. All that your own contributions are there, fabrications are there. And slowly you understand it is useless. It's a mere thought came, it's a mere perception came. So why should I habitually add to this? So you slowly withdraw yourself. Now thought came and tried to tempt you, but you are maintaining quite wise attitude. You are able to properly look at it, and now it has gone. So likewise, now very much like you are developing a kind of mindful space. You are not the body now, you are not attached to the body now, you are not attached to the feelings now, not even to the mental phenomena. So very much like you are now letting go of the body, letting go of physical phenomena, letting go of feelings, letting go of thoughts. So slowly, mind is freeing. Vimochayan chittang, in a way, as Buddha mentioned in the Anapanasati Sutta. So you are now promoting this freedom of the mind, letting go of the phenomena, so that mind become more and more lighter, more free, unattached. And as in the Satipatthana Sutta, result is anisitocha viherati. So you are able to maintain a mind which is quite unassociated with the five aggregates. You are trying to maintain a mind which is independent from the five aggregates. Nachakinchi loki upadhyati. So mind does not want to hold on to anything in the world, does not want to grasp anything in the world. So if we are practicing Satipatthana properly, so this is a kind of a result that the yogi can experience. It may happen again and again. So slowly you are introduced to that, and you may experience that, and now you need to little bit prolong that. You need to maintain that, extend that as much as possible. At first it appears like a kind of a boring state. There's not much excitement, of course, because mind is quite peaceful, very calm, quiet, does not have any eye-making, mind-making, so you might not get excited, or you might not get motivated. You might even ignore that. But if you again and again go through the proper practice, you may come across the same result. Now the body being let go of, Vedana let go of, thoughts let go of, mind is maintaining kind of a relaxed spaciousness. So this relaxed spaciousness, unattached spaciousness is an area now we are very much like trying to develop. Now suppose you are developing it, you are trying to be there, dwell there without doing anything. That's the most difficult part. So once you arrive there, you have nothing to do, just be. Because already the body has gone, feelings gone, thoughts are not there, mind is free, mind is empty, certain clarity of the mind is there. Okay, just be. You have nothing much to do now. Just be. So now if you are developing that kind of an attitude, that kind of a skill, so mind become more and more clearer. And as you sit, you may achieve that kind of a clarity of the mind, calmness of the mind, peacefulness of the mind, unattached nature of the mind, kind of a lightness of the mind. It's not a heavy mind. It's not a tangled mind. It's a very relaxed, simplified kind of a mind. Like as we discussed, it's a kind of a water. Nothing is added to the water. It is not boiled water. It is not colored water. It is not muddy water. It is not turbulent water. It is not segmented water. It is not in a darkness. But it's a very clear, colorless, pure type of water. So as we are continuing that, now let's get into the sutta where Buddha say, okay, now you have this Tadanga Nibbute. So let's refer it as this state as Tadanga Nibbute. So till your mind has the power of this vipassana, so you can maintain that state. But unfortunately, again you drop back, again the mind habitually go and grasp this and that. Unavoidable, because still the defilements are operative, and time to time when the power of vipassana, this vipassana knowledge has become weaker, again you go down and again grasp things. Now how are we going to further develop that? So that is what we are going to discuss today. Now let me start with the Indriya Bhavana Sutta. So Indriya Bhavana Sutta, as you know, is the last sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, where Buddha mentioned how the faculties are to be developed in a way to promote this Tadanga Nibbute, promote this equanimity. So it's a very practical approach. What Buddha is mentioning there, it is not merely that you are developing in the meditation hall. Say you are walking. So while you are walking, you may look at something, or simply you saw something. But what you have seen, assume it is a very beautiful thing. So as a result of that, mind again go in the old habit of grasping it, enjoying it, being delighted with it. But now you have an experience of that equanimity, unattached nature, very relaxed nature, calm nature. But now mind is at a different level, which is attached nature. It will delighted nature. Mind is at an excited state. Not the relaxed state, but in a kind of excited state. You are happy in a way. Happy, not just a calm, relaxed happiness, rather a kind of excited happiness. Sensually excited happiness. Because you have seen something, it has triggered back the desires. Again, mind started little thinking, and the mind again now has shifted to that little bit of excited state, manapa. So now the Buddha's advice is don't dwell there now. Return back to that very simple, quite equanimous, quite sublime equanimity. Etan santang, etan panitang, yadidang upekha. So his advice is to return back to that equanimity. So the kind of a practice, it has to be a very practical approach. Now you are very much like practically using the skill to familiarize with this equanimity, dwelling in this equanimity, dwelling in this unattached state as much as possible. So at first it might not quickly jump back. At first you might have to do a little bit of practice, very much like remembering, very much like reminding the mind. Again, arousing the wisdom, because that wisdom power has reduced, diminished. That's why again the mind has gone and grasped it. Again, you need to kill the fire. Again, you have to arouse vipassana, knowledge. So you do. So Buddha recommend 3 different approaches. You can look at that in a way like sankatang. That means current state is more fabricated. Current state is more constructed. But the previous equanimous simplified state is very much like a very natural state, very simple state. It's very much like a pure water. But this agitated state is very much like colored water. So it's a constructed state. So you have added something. You put your own desires into it, your own likes into it. So you have fabricated it. So if you understand this Sankata state, then Buddha say, knowing this constructed state, okay, it's a fabricated state, so return back to that all very simple, equanimous state. Looking at the agitated state as a Sankata. Or else Buddha say, look at it as Olarika. It's a gross state. Previously you were in a very relaxed, calm, simple state, but this is a very gross state. You may feel heavy. Mind may feel it heavy. Mind feel like tangled. So don't be here now. Return back. Or else Buddha is encouraging to look at the Paticcasamuppanna nature. How your eye has gone through this causal activity. So I met with the form, and as a result of that, the kind of eye consciousness prepared, and that eye consciousness is based on the ignorance. So the constructions have happened, the fabrications were happened, and then the feelings were, the contact has happened, then the feelings were next identified or recognized. Now the thinking ultimately grasping, end up with grasping. So you see the causal nature of the process needs certain amount of yoniso manasikara, and as you see, then the tangle become untangled. Again you revert back to the very simple, calm, relaxed, equanimous state. So likewise, at first you need to work to return back to the very simple state, equanimous state, subtle state. Now as you are growing, Buddha is giving us a kind of a marker, how quickly you need to return. So it's very interesting. So he says, try to return with the blink of an eye. So if you come to this state, previously, as you know, it's very difficult, but later we have to quickly return back. So that indicates the direction, how quickly we need to return back. And similarly, with respect to ears, so you can see how practical he is telling. Now it's not here itself. You may be walking here and there, and maybe you heard a sound. Maybe someone is criticizing you. So you start again panicking, why he is talking like this, and why should he condemning me, why he is criticizing me. So again eye making, again mind making, again worrying. Now you need to understand, now again you need to establish mindfulness. Okay, don't stay here now. This is the amanapa, this is a disagreeable state, so don't stay there. You need to return back to the calmness, equanimity, relaxed state. How quickly? Snap off of the fingers. So that's the marker. How quickly you need to return. So you can occupy the previous methods, same methods. Sankatang, Olarikam, Paticcasamuppanna. You can use any of the methods. Quickly return back. That calm, relaxed state, unattached state. Similarly, smelling can cause this kind of an agitated state. Quickly return back. Like a raindrop quickly slips from a tilted lotus leaf, where water is not being absorbed. It's the kind of a tilted lotus leaf. When a raindrop happens, it quickly drops very quickly, easily. And then because of the tongue, when you are enjoying some food, again you get into imagination. Okay, how can I have that tomorrow? So these days I am being fully supported. After returning back, how can I have all this delicious food? So kind of a thinking, kind of imagination. Again, proliferation can happen. So don't dwell there. Return back. How quickly? He is saying, easily spit out a ball of spittle. Very quick, very easy. And similarly, when the kind of a sensation happens, say a bodily sensation happens, again this kind of an excited state can happen. You can be happy, you can be elated, or you can be unhappy. All these possibilities are there, but don't be in that agitated state. Return back to that relaxed state, equanimous state, very much like how to extend a flex arm that easily, that quickly. or how to flex the extended arm. And then the mind, the other side. So the thoughts are also coming to the mind. So even though the five senses are, say, not giving much trouble, but the thoughts can come to the mind. So it also can cause tanglement. It also can cause agitation. It also can cause excitement. Again, you are going back and thinking and proliferating and going through a kind of an obsession. Remember that, understood that, apply the brakes of mindfulness. So mindfulness will quickly tell you, okay, now the guy is going in wrong direction. Apply brakes. Return back quickly to that equanimous state. Use the methods. So this new state, agitated state, obsessed state is constructed state. It's a fabricated state. And or you can see it is a kind of a gross, heavy, tangled state. Or you can see it is also gone through this causal activity. Any of the methods can be used. Return back to the very subtle, relaxed, equanimous state. And so basically it's a very practical approach now. Buddha is encouraging us. So quickly return back and maintain the mind in that untangled state, equanimous state. So that state has to become very much like the home position of the mind. So that has to be the norm of the mind. Now, interesting thing is this, in this sutta, actually, Buddha did not stop at this level. He says, assume that someone is continuing like this, and he become a seeker. He become a trainee. He did the training. He went through this whole practice, and he was able to abandon the fetters, certain fetters, and now he is a trainee. Now he is a seeker, a noble person. And as I mentioned even during the question and answer session, now Buddha didn't say much to him, but even for him, this tanglement is possible. Tanglement is possible because still the defilements are operating. Sometimes he loses mindfulness. Sometimes the strength of the wisdom is weak. Again, the tanglement is possible. Again, agitation is possible. Suppose the agitation happen, then Buddha say, be ashamed of it. Enough. You don't need to work hard. Be ashamed of what has happened. This fellow was taught what to do. See the idiot, what he has done. Then the fellow may return back. Very much like, training a child. So at first you have to be little stubborn and strong and advise again and again. You might have to use the cane or not in Australia. So all the trouble is there for the parents. But now once the child is fairly grown up, suppose he is now a good boy. He knows what is good, what is correct, and he knows what is bad. So you don't have to do much then. But still there may be a tendency, a bad friend is coming and trying to catch him. He is almost like going now. You can simply tell his name. Okay, now he may come back. He may return back. You don't need to spend a lot of energy. So likewise, similarly, the mind is like a child. So we are going through a kind of a training. So the noble person doesn't have to spend a lot of struggle, kind of a striving. Rather, he still has to train, by the way. So that is actually further emphasized in the Mulapariyaya Sutta. That is what actually I have taken as the phrase of the sermon, title of the sermon. So for the trainee, for the seeker, for the noble trainee, so Buddha say like this, Yopiso bhikkave bhikkhu seko. Now he's a trainee now. Appamatta manaso. So he is actually not yet arrived the final goal. Anuttarang yogakkemam pattayamano viharati. But he is wishing that final goal. He is wishing that final liberation. Not yet he arrived there, by the way. Sopi dittan dittato abhijanati. Whenever he sees something, he sees properly, but dittan dittato abhinyaya dittam mamanyi. In case it get into the tanglement, get into the agitation, now he is very much like advising himself. he should not conceive himself as earth, as what he has seen. So basically, that indicates that you are very much like advising yourself. Still the tendency is there. Whenever a beautiful sight is there, the tendency is there to being attracted. You still make a person, you still make an object, you still make a self possible. But you remember the teaching, you remember where you want to be, as explained in the Indriya Bhavana Sutta. But the mind has to be very much like reminded about it. Okay, don't go there, don't do it again, don't get tangled like that. So you are advising yourself, correcting yourself, training yourself, restraining yourself. So it's a very human kind of an approach Buddha is showing us. It is not immediately one becomes an arahant. So we are going through this practice. So we are training our mind, looking after it, guarding it. Whenever lose the track, okay, put it to the correct track, something like that. Now, when something like that happens, there may be a possibility you are able to maintain that relaxed state for a long time. Even though now you see things, mind remains calm. Mind doesn't want to get involved now. Now, say for example, I give a kind of an example now, say in a perahara, in a position. So different dances are there, elephants are there, different dancing methods are there. Suppose previously, when Candian dancing is going on, you are thrilled. Probably you also dancing while looking at that. It was so beautiful, so kind of thrilled, and you also was dancing. When the Western kind of dancing is there, again you might get thrilled. Again you also get elated. So you are unable to watch it as a mere observer. But later, there may be another stage. So the dancing is there, big parade is there, all different activities are there, but you can observe it as a neutral observer, something like that. Now, like say the kids may be going through kind of elated states by seeing these kind of magics. But parents, if they know properly, okay, there is nothing much, no need to get elated. It's a fool's trick. Then you still see the things, but you are not tangled, you are not excited, you are not agitated. So something like that here. So as we develop this unattached, untangled, very relaxed, equanimous, non-grasping state, and as we are maturing in it, so more and more, mind understand the beauty of it, mind understand the benefit of it, and now mind is very much like enjoying it. Even though now you see things, mind stay quiet. Mind doesn't want to talk. Mind doesn't want to start an inner chatter. Mind doesn't want to start a story. Now we can compare it with the Bahya Sutta. So that is where the Bahya Sutta resides, where Buddha gives a fairly advanced advice to the Bahya, the noble's restraint. Actually, Bahya Sutta is a quite advanced summary of Sila Samadhi Panya. Quite advanced summary of kind of a restrainment and the development of the mind and the wisdom development. So, at first stage he says, Evam hiva bahya sikkitabbam. Tasmat iha bahya evam sikkitabbam. Dittya dittamattam bhavisati. Okay, bahya, in the scene, there will be just scene. So don't add to it, don't contribute it, don't have any likes, dislikes, this, that. So merely seen. Sute sutamattam bhavisati. In the herd, just the herd. And mute muttamattam bhavisati. In the sense, there will be just the sense. Vinyate vinyatamattam bhavisati. In the cognized, there will be just the cognized. So this is the bahya you need to train like this, restrain like this. So it's a restrainment. So time to time the tanglement can happen, agitations can happen, excitements can happen, elations can happen, worries can happen. But this is the training. It's a restrainment. Okay, Bahya, you need to restrain yourself like this. Now, if we are doing like that, so the beauty is, now you can look at something without being tangled. Quietly, you can look at it. Say, for example, say you are watching a movie. How much are you getting involved? Say you are adding your own stuff, you relate that scene with your own experience, you start crying, you become emotional, you become excited. Because we have added to that. We were in it. You're completely very much like attached to it, fooled by it. So we were not ditte ditta matta. But can you look at a movie without thinking? Very difficult, by the way. Without being emotional? Let's apply it to a simple thing then. Can you look at this world without thinking? Without making thoughts? Without making any, say, kind of happiness or unhappiness or worry? Simply look at the wall. That's easy, right? Not that difficult. How about a waterfall? When you are watching a waterfall, is it really necessary to start an inner chatter? Actually, I can remember now what an interesting simile Ajahn Brahm has given. How about watching a cricket match with the volume reduced? So no commentary. So you are watching the cricket match, by the way. So your side also has to be no volume, no inner chatter, no commentator. How about watching a cricket match with a silent mind? So these are the different stages. So it's quite easy to look at the wall with a silent mind. Maybe possible. With practice, of course. Maybe later, say you are going to see the, Serpentine Dam. Someone told me, okay, there is something called Serpentine Dam. Okay, that's also not that nice thing. Okay, you go there, you look at the dam. Still mind may be calm, relax, no agitation, still no inner chatter, possible. How about then a beautiful sight? Again, we can probably say, okay, it is quite beautiful, but still mind doesn't want to get involved. Mind prefers to be alone. Mind enjoys its own rest, its own calmness, its own relaxation. So likewise, it is not that we can immediately apply to the very excited kind of a state. So we can start with very simple things and see whether that capacity is now being built to the mind. Like seeing a wall, like seeing a waterfall, like seeing a tree, like seeing the sky. So they are not really agitating the mind. They are naturally beautiful, by the way, maybe neutral. So you can look at them and see whether you have that capacity now. But then you can apply it to a beautiful girl, a handsome boy, maybe a movie, maybe a magic, whatever, and see how much you can maintain such a state. So the beauty here, yatoko te bahya ditte dittamattam bhavisati. When bahya, there will be in the scene, just the scene, sutte suttamattam bhavisati, mutte muttamattam bhavisati, viññāte viññātamattam bhavisati. So when we are able to do like that, now tato tvam bahya nate. So you are not affected by that. You are not involved by that. So you are quite free from that. And then yato tvam bahya natena tato tvam bahya natatta. So if you are doing like that, then you are not in it either. You are not involved by that. You are not affected by that. Also, you are not in it either. So where is I now? Nowhere. Yato tvam bahya natatta tato tvam bahya na veida na hurang na ubhemantarena esevanto dukkassa. So you are neither here, nor there, nor in between. So this is the end of suffering. If there is I making, that is the suffering. If there is mind making, that is suffering. But here, even though the sights are there, sounds are there, smells, tastes, tangibles are there, you haven't made an I You haven't made any mind. There is no suffering. You are calm, very relaxed, quiet, no inner chatter, no agitation, tranquil, equanimous, no suffering. So it's a kind of a gradual train. Now, so what happened to the defilements? So let me refer another beautiful sutta that gives the direct answer. So Buddha say how to verify an arahant in the Chabbisodana Sutta. So the answers are given, so you can verify. So if you go to a so-called arahant, he should say like this, if he has a real arahant. So he is giving a fair amount of good query there, a kind of a questionnaire in today's terms. And Ditteko ahang also. Now when I am handling with various sides, so this is the way I have handled, so that I was able to abandon all the fetters. Now he's explaining like that. So that means he has gone through this kind of a practice, and how he has done it is explained in this Chabbisodana Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. Dippeko ahang also anupayo. When I am seeing a sight, anupayo, that means I am unattracted by that. I am unattracted. Anapayo, I am not repelled by that either. So typically what happens, if something is beautiful, you being attracted to that. I want it. It is not there with him. He's not doing like that. Or else if you don't like something, you want to quickly jump away. You want to get rid of it. That is also not there. So you are maintaining that mental balance. Even beautifully, even unattractive, still the mind is balanced. Not attracted, not repelled. Anissito, it is kind of independent. So the sight did not influence the mind. Appatibaddo, it is detached. Vippamutto, mind is free. Visangyutto, dissociated. So there's no link between the object and the observer, like. So they have a dissociation. Vimariyadikatena cetsa vihara. So that's another beautiful term. Now, like the ditte dittamata, same thing actually, in a more descriptive way. You are not being attracted, not repelled, quite independent, fairly free, and detached, dissociated. Now, what do you think? Now, say, when you are attracted to something, is your mind constrained and narrowed, or is your mind open? When you are attracted to someone, say there are 100 people, and if you are attracted to someone in that group, is your mind constrained, restricted, narrowed down to that person, or are you maintaining an open mind? Your mind is constrained, your mind is attracted, your mind is restrained, your mind constricted, narrowed. Okay? But when you are looking around like overview, then you have a kind of a surveillance type of a view, right? Spreaded type of a view. So when you are not attached to anything, when you are not attracted to anything, when you are not bounded by anything, when you are completely free from things, so what should be the nature of the mind then? It has to be open. It is open. So this vimariyadikatena cetasa means it's rid of any barriers, rid of any kind of restrictions. Its mind is quite open. It's relaxed, no boundary. So this is the type of way that he has maintained the mind with respect to seeing. Similarly, he explained about the sounds, smells, tastes, tangibles, and the thoughts. So with respect to these ditta sutta mutta viññāta, 4 different kinds of these expression, Buddha say the arahant, before he become an arahant, this is the practice he has gone through. Same thing explained to the Bahir. Same thing explained to in the Indriya Bhavana Sutta, but in a very descriptive, very attractive way. Buddha put it in this Chabbisodana Sutta. So how the state of the mind a trainee has maintained. So what is the result? Evam kome aoso janato, evam passato, imesu chatusu vaharesu, anupadaya asavehi chittam vimuttanti. Knowing thus, seeing thus, regarding these four kinds of expression, that through not clinging, my mind is liberated from the taints. So that means the taints were slowly abandoned when he is maintaining a mind like this. So training is that. So basically, so we were able to arrive some kind of a calmness. Now the calmness is spreaded. Untangled mind is spreaded. That is fairly established. Now you are maintaining that. As a result of that, slowly the defilements are weaker. Taints are dropped. Ultimately, one has liberated. Completely become an arahat. Now, in all these suttas, actually, this, in a way, not I-making. There is no I-making at this state. So while you are in this calm, relaxed state, you can't find I, you can't find the person. There is no ego unless you get attached. But if you are maintaining a fairly relaxed, calm, equanimous, unattached, free, unrepelled, unattracted, disassociated state, there is no I, there is no person, there is no me, nothing is there. But mere experience is there. Now, at this stage, in a way, we can see the mind is very much like free from this dualistic language even. Now, typically our minds are thinking in a dualistic way. Good, bad, positive, negative, long, short, near, far. So likewise, the mind is trapped in these extremes. Typically, this is how we typically think. But that kind of dualistic thinking, dualistic approach is also abandoned. Therefore, the atamyata is there. Now we are coming to the term atamyata, no identification, and also not being anyone, not becoming anyone, and also not becoming anything. So you are like pure water. Water is not added with anything. It is not being subjected to anything. It is maintaining its own nature, its own real nature. There's no fabrications. There are no constructions. So the water has maintained its original nature, something like that. So the mind is very much like maintaining its original nature. There are no defilements now. There are no I-makings now, mind-makings now, no selfing, no identifications, no coloring, no conditioning, no agitations, pure water. That's it. Here is the atamyata. Now, let me add a little bit from one interesting book from Ajahn Buddhadasa. It's a very eminent monk who lived in Thailand, Ajahn Buddhadasa. I heard time to time Ajahn Chah also has visited him. Now, there's a book called Under the Bodhi Tree from Ajahn Buddhadasa. So he's telling like this. We bounce back and forth between liking and disliking, loving and hating, trapped by the delusions of positivity and negativity. With atamyata, mind is in a state or condition that nothing can affect or concoct. Concoct literally means kind of fabrication. So when the mind is in that atamyata, non-identification, unattached, unrepelled state, so Ajahn Buddhadasa is saying, so the mind is in the state of condition that nothing can affect. There is no fabrication. When there is no ignorance, there is no attachment, and thus no good or evil. Then we discover coolness, where the influence of positive and negative cannot seize us. Now what happens when positive happens? We want it, I like it. So the positive has an impact on us, influence on us. Negative, I want to get rid of it, I don't like it, I hate it. So that is how we react with the negative. But when the mind is very much like uplifted from that, so that's negative, positive, good and bad, black, white, say short, long, all those dualistic things, conventional stuff has no impact to the mind. Please understand Nibbana in this way. So he's saying, please understand Nibbana in this way. Please be interested in Nibbana. please be interested in Nibbana. With correct understanding of it, you will correctly understand the goal of life and will have a map that shows you how to walk the path of life correctly. And the last statement is very beautiful. I cannot sufficiently stress the importance of this. I cannot sufficiently stress the importance of this. So being beyond the influence of positive and negative is called in Buddhism living above the world or Lokuttara. So you are very much like living above the world. So the worldly affairs has less influence to the mind when the mind is uplifted like that. So very much like, so we are learning here how to be free from the five khandhas, how to let go of the five khandhas, how to untangle ourselves from the five khandhas. And now still they may be operating, but less influence to the mind, because mind has certain amount of wisdom which is helping to protect it, something like that. Okay, with that I will conclude today's Dhamma sermon. So we'll see further how to develop, if possible, in the tomorrow morning's Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much for attentive listening. Okay, I have a little notice here. You can see some books published from Nissarana is available here, and Chandima actually was quite helpful in bringing them here. And if you are interested, you can take, and it is totally free. So it's also free, like free mind. There are some English books are there, some single books are also there. Okay, so today also we have spent the amount of time in practicing and again participating in the Dhamma discussion and listening to Dhamma. And some of you have participated in the Dana, in offering Dana. And all these good merits we share with all the celestial beings and with our past relatives and whoever in need of merits. And we wish these merits help us also to attain path, fruition, Nibbana. And we'll recite the traditional verses.